Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. My name is Zoe if you are new here, and I have a special guest with me today.
What's up?
I have my husband here today and I did a makeup tutorial on him today. Halloween edition.
Boo.
And this is what I ended up doing. I did a skull. This is the first time I've ever like face painted anybody or done something like this. So I was kind of just learning along the way, but I really enjoy how it turned out. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, join our little family and help us grow. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Those all will be linked in the description below, along with his social media information as well. And yeah, if you want to see me transform my husband into this skull, then just keep watching. Okay, to start off, I'm showing you guys my inspiration picture, and this is just kind of the guide I'm going to follow in order to create my skull. And I'm starting off by using just a brown liner and sketching out where all the black is going to be, so sketching out like the main parts of the skull. This part's fairly easy. Don't worry if everything isn't super even, because a skull, like a natural skull, wouldn't be perfectly symmetrical, so it's okay if things aren't as perfect as you want them, I guess. As you can see, one of my eyes here is a lot more round, and I didn't even notice it until looking back at the footage. But yeah, I'm just gonna take my time and kind of sketch this out, and I'm actually using a brown brow pencil. And I found it was really easy because brow pencils wipe off super duper easily. There's not like a lot of hard work that goes into erasing them as opposed to like an eyeliner. So I actually found this super helpful. So I'm just sketching out the main parts of the skull. You can use whatever inspo image you have or whatever knowledge you have of what a skull looks like, whatever kind of picture you find that you like the design of the skull, feel free to use it. And I apologize if you can hear my daughter in the background. She's being awfully loud today. So that's mainly it. Now we're going to start painting in everything. So I'm going to start off with the white, and I'm going around all of those little things that I drew all over his face, and I'm just going to put white paint. This part is pretty easy but pretty time consuming to get everything around everywhere and whatnot. So just take your time with this. Don't feel bad if you make any mistakes, because you can just cover it up later with the black paint when we go in with that and with shading. Also, it may look, I'm using like a flat paintbrush, and it may look kind of streaky as of right now. But again, when we go in with all the shadows and stuff, it'll kind of complete it and you won't really be able to see any of the streakiness from the brushes. If you want this to be super blended and super like well put together, then for sure take your time with this and really blend it in, or go over it with a sponge so that things are more nicely blended. Next, I'm just taking my DERMABLEND loose powder in original. It is a white powder, and I am just setting everything because when I practiced this the day before, I noticed that if I set my hand on his face, or if he touched his face, then the paint would move around. So I just set it, and also because the shading is going to be a lot easier to do with the white set because it won't be tacky. Okay, next we're going in with the black, and we are just filling in all of those areas that I carved out earlier that I drew on. We're covering all of those with black paint. So again, just take your time with this. This isn't as time consuming, but yeah, just definitely be patient with this step because you want the black to be nice and crisp. And make sure you go ahead and paint the rim and inside of the nose. That way it is completely blacked out and you can't see any skin. And I'm sorry for those of you who wanted to see like the humor in us and like see us being us. But when I started doing this, I was just in the zone. So I wasn't really talking or doing anything. He was watching football. So yeah, I apologize. We were just in our elements, I guess. And right here, I'm just filling in the eyes, but I'm not actually going to do the whole eye right now. I'll do that at the end. But now we're going to start the shading. So I'm just using a flat shadow brush, and I picked up that gray and that light taupey color and mix those two together. And what you're going to do to create the depth of the shadows is you're going to lay the brush flat, and you're just going to kind of wiggle it side to side. And you're going to keep most of the shadow at the edge of the brush, the very end of the brush. So that way it creates the most depth at the edge of it, so it looks deep, it looks sunken in, I guess, if that makes any sense. So I'm basically going to do that all over the face and where I see areas on the picture shadowed. So like I said, I'm just following the image basically, but then we are going to add shadows to certain parts of the face, and I will kind of tell you how you can figure out where the shadows belong in just a second. But right here, I'm just following the picture, and the skull kind of looks mad, so I'm going to go down at an angle all the way to the front of the eye. And then I just got a little puff that I could put on my hand, so that way I'm not messing up any of the work, any of the shading, any of the paint, nothing. This is just to be really safe, because yesterday I was moving the paint around a lot, and as you can see, I am like so flattening out my husband's hair, but you know, whatever. And I'm just gonna kind of feather this outwards so that way the shadow is really nice and blended. But as you can see, I went kind of down at an angle to create that mean look. And I just took a fluffy brush and blended it out just a little bit more. Next, I'm creating these eyebrow marks, or these brow bone marks, just to make the skull look a little bit mad. And this part is pretty easy. You're just going to kind of make a half circle and almost meet the end of the shading from the brow bone. And I'm just using a shadow to create this. I'm not using any paint or anything. And then you're just going to shade right behind it. Okay, and then everywhere you see kind of this curve, that's where we're gonna add shadow. So we're gonna make it look sunken in around like the cheekbone area. And I am just using a larger but flat brush to create that little area. Since it is a larger area, we're gonna do it right here on the jawbone right here. And then I'm also going to add shadows right around the eye, so it'll make the bone that goes around your eye look like it's popping out a little bit more. And this part is pretty easy. I just used an angled brush for this, just a small angled brush, and all you have to do is just literally draw some lines around the eye, and you're pretty much done, because it kind of blends out itself as long as you're not using a whole bunch of shadow. And it doesn't really matter where you're adding these lines, just add them around the eye wherever you feel like. Okay, and then I'm just kind of adding these cracks that were in my image. It's pretty easy. You're just gonna kind of make a long L and kind of just drag it out, and then you'll make a C underneath that. And then we're gonna start shading it for some depth. So we're gonna shade where the C is, where the C curves, and just kind of blend out that line to make it look a little bit more realistic and not so flat. All right, and then I'm just putting some shading around the nose, again, just to make the bone kind of pop right there. Doing the same kind of steps that I've been doing. All right, and then we're gonna start on the teeth. So what I did was just take some white paint on a small paintbrush that looks exactly like a concealer brush, and I'm just gonna start drawing little lines upward, and you're gonna wanna like kind of drag it out so that way there's more paint at the bottom, less paint at the top. And yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of let you watch me do this, but I didn't count how many teeth I did or do specific amount due to like natural anatomy. I just kind of fit as many as I could on there. If you definitely want to make it more realistic, you could definitely actually put the amount of teeth that are actually in your mouth. And I did go over it twice, so that way it's nice and bright. Now I'm going to start shading the teeth, and what I'm doing is just taking the a gray shadow and kind of making lines in between, and then like midway up the line I'm going to make a little Y, and that's what's going to actually separate the teeth and make it look like there's not just lines on your face. I followed Crispy's tutorial on how she does teeth, so if you want to see like more in-depth way to do teeth, then go watch Crispy's videos. She has really great school tutorials. Now I'm just drawing a black line to separate the teeth, and I did actually end up shadowing the line, so like smudging it out so it's not so nice and perfect, but I don't know where the clip of that is, so I'm sorry. But I'm also just kind of drawing some like black lines in between the teeth, not all the way down the teeth, just at the very bottom of the teeth. That way they're standing out a little bit more, and I also shadowed those lines as well. I also blended out those lines. Now I'm just going to apply the black paint to the rest of his eyes and black out his eyes. And what I did was used the paint to cover his eyes. Then I set it with a black shadow. This way his eyes weren't creasing or anything. And if you're wondering what kind of paint I'm using, I'm just using a water activated paint from Michael's. And that is it, guys. I really hope you like this little school tutorial and liked seeing me transform my husband into something spooky for Halloween. Thank you so much for watching. Alright guys, so that is it for this transformation on my husband. I really have fun doing it. I'm sure he's tired of sitting in this chair, but I had a lot of fun doing this makeup look on him. And yeah, that is it guys. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!